Hello, my dear students. Jai Swaminarayan. This is our second part of our chapter number 7, Control and Coordination. In previous video, we have studied about our animals' nervous system of animals. As we know, we have studied our nerve cell structure and all that thing, fundamental introductions. So now, what happens in the reflex actions? We are continuing with this topic. Reflex is a word we use very commonly when we talk about some sudden actions in response to the something in the environment. जब भी environment में कुछ ऐसी situation होगी and हम उसको respond करेंगे, but immediate respond, this is called as reflex. We say, I jumped out of the way of the bus reflexly, or I pulled my hand back from the flame reflexly, or I was so hungry my mouth started watering reflexly. हम अक्सर ये this sentence we are using this sentence, okay, by using this word reflexly. So reflex is sudden action. For example, here I was so hungry my mouth started watering reflexly. मतलब मुझे इतनी भूख लग गई थी कि मुझे मेरे मुंह में तुरंत ही पानी आ गया. So this is about reflex action. Now what exactly do we mean? A common idea in all such examples is that we do something without thinking about it. मतलब हमने गुलाब जामुन देखे तो क्या हमने सोचा था कि नहीं गुलाब जामुन मैंने देखे तो मेरे मुंह में पानी आना चाहिए? No, वो रिफ्लेक्स एक्शन है. That we do something without thinking about it or without feeling in control of our reaction. हम बोलते हैं कई बार कि मुझे कंट्रोल नहीं रहता है. So this is about the reflex. Yet these are situations where we are responding with some actions to changes in our environment. How is the control and coordination achieved in such situation? These all situations where we are responding and with the some action, हम कुछ action करते हैं by the responding and the responding to the changes in our environment. For example, these all three examples: jumped out of the way bus from the bus and pulled my hand back from the flame. Flame is very heat thing, okay, so like that. Now let us consider this further. Take one of our examples. Touching a flame is an urgent and dangerous situation for us, or in fact for any animal. Okay, so here is the example of burning flame. Flame is very hot and urgent and dangerous situation. हमको तुरंत हम उसको रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे. एंड हाउ वुड वी रिस्पॉन्ड टू दिस? वन सीमिंगली सिंपल वे इज टू थिंक कॉन्शियसली अबाउट द पेन एंड पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ गेटिंग बर्nt एंड देयरफॉर मूव आवर हैंड. वी विल थिंक, ओके, थॉट विल बी देयर फॉर कॉन्शियसली अबाउट द पेन एंड पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ गेटिंग बर्nt. हम हमारा हाथ जल जाएगा, उस हिसाब से हम हमारे हैंड को वापस खींच लेते हैं. वी आर रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू देम. एन इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन देन इज हाउ लॉन्ग विल इट टेक अस टू थिंक ऑल दिस. हम तुरंत ही कोई हॉट चीज़ के ऊपर टच करते हैं तो हम ये सब सोचते हैं. हम क्या सोचते हैं कि पेन, अबाउट पेन एंड पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ गेटिंग बर्न एंड देयरफॉर वी मूव आवर हैंड. सो दिस ऑल situations and how long will it take us to think all this? The answer depends on how we think. हम कैसे सोचते हैं उस पर डिपेंड करता है. If nerve impulses are the sent around the way we have talked about earlier, then thinking is also likely to involve the creation of such impulses. Impulses हमको मालूम है जो signals, there are signals in our nerve cells. Signals are passing, so they are called as impulse. Now this is creation of impulses by this thinking, our thinking. Thinking is a complex activity, so it is bound to involve a complicated interaction of many nerve impulses from the many neurons. So this is the way of thinking and producing or generating impulsing. So here is the interaction and complicated interaction will be there. If this is the case, it is no surprise that the thinking tissue in our body consists of the dense network of intricately arranged the neurons. So neuron cells are the arranged intricately and in the form of dense network. Network meaning पूरा जाली जैसा नेटवर्क, पूरा जाली जैसी स्ट्रक्चर विल बी देयर, वो बना देंगे. in our body, and this is the thinking tissue and made up of neurons. It sits in the forward end of the skull. हमारे स्कल में जो फॉरवर्ड एंड होता है वहाँ पर ये सिट्स होता है, एंड रिसीव्स द सिग्नल फ्रॉम ऑल ओवर द बॉडी विच इट थिंक्स अबाउट बिफोर द रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू देम. अगर हमने कोई गर्म चीज़ पे हाथ रखा है तो हम सोचेंगे कि ये जल जाएगा हमारा हाथ, हम उसको वापस खींचते हैं. सो ऑल दिस रिस्पॉन्डिंग एंड ऑल द सिग्नल्स, वो सब सिग्नल्स जाएंगे कहाँ पर? फाइनली हमारे दिस स्कल के हमारे फॉरवर्ड एंड की तरफ. ऑब्वियसली इन ऑर्डर टू रिसीव दिस सिग्नल्स, this thinking part of the brain in the skull must be connected to the nerves coming from various parts of the body. This is obviously we have to connect both of things, skull, brain, part of the brain in the skull, and skull is a protection of this brain tissue over. Now this brain, this thinking part of brain and our nerves are will have to the connecting link. So that's why the connection will be there and the proper response will be there. Similarly, if this part of the brain is to instruct muscle to the move, nerve must carry this signal back to the different part of the body. Meaning हमने टच किया है कोई हॉट चीज़ के ऊपर, एंड वो सिग्नल पहले हमारे ब्रेन में जाएगा, एंड ब्रेन इंस्ट्रक्ट करेगा, मीनिंग ब्रेन विल इंस्ट्रक्ट डैट कि उस मसल को वापस खींच लो, उस हाथ को वापस रख लो, एंड डैट message will be signal back to the different part of the body. So this is the process of responding. If all of this is to be done when we touch a hot object, it may take enough time for us to get. But अगर हम सब ये सोचेंगे, हमारे हाथ में से, हमारी स्किन के सेल्स में से वो सिग्नल हमारे ब्रेन में जाएगा, ब्रेन को पूछेगा, ब्रेन उसको इंस्ट्रक्ट करेगा और वापस हाथ वहाँ पर से हिलेगा, तब तक तो हमारा हाथ जल जाएगा. बट हाउ डज द डिज़ाइन ऑफ द बॉडी सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम? ये सॉल्व कैसे होती है ये प्रॉब्लम? हम जलते तो नहीं है कभी, तुरंत हम रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं. सो व्हाट इज़ बिहाइंड इट दिस सॉल्यूशन, दिस प्रॉब्लम? ओके, सो रादर देन हैविंग टू थिंक अबाउट द सेंसेशन ऑफ हीट, इफ द नर्व्स दैट डिटेक्ट्स हीट वेर टू बी कनेक्टेड टू द नर्व्स दैट मूव मसल्स इन अ सिंपलर वे, द प्रोसेस ऑफ डिटेक्टिंग द सिग्नल और द इनपुट एंड रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू इट by an output action might be completed in quickly. मतलब ये सब बहुत क्विकली होना चाहिए, immediately will be there, process will be there, immediate reaction will be there. So rather than having to think about all this sensation, process and response, but nerves that detect heat were to be connected to the nerves that move muscle in a simpler way, and the process of detecting these signals और द इनपुट एंड रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू इट बाय आउटपुट एक्शन माइट बी कंप्लीटेड क्विकली. ये सब क्विकली होना जरूरी है. सच अ कनेक्शन इज कॉमनली कॉल्ड एज रिफ्लेक्स आर्क. ओके, दिस क्विकली रिस्पॉन्डिंग phenomenon is called as reflex arc, and we will see in our figure 7.2. This is about reflex arc. You can see here hot object touching on hot object, and here our sensory neuron is connected to this skin receptors. Receptor will take the signal. Okay, so here heat or pain is here, and receptor in the skin will send the message, send the signal by sensory neuron, motor neuron, and here the effector muscle in arm is, this is our muscle जो हाथ को वापस खींच लेगा. Now this is our spinal cord, and spinal cord is a part of our CNS meaning central nervous system. So this will give the message to the brain को ये मैसेज यहाँ से पहुँचेगा by this sensory neuron and this through the spinal cord, and relay neuron, you can see here relay neuron, and this is effector muscle. यहाँ जैसे ही इसको वापस सिग्नल मिलेगा ये मसल हाथ को खींच लेगा, यहाँ से सिग्नल जा रहा है एंड यहाँ से वापस वो सिग्नल रिस्पॉन्ड के लिए वो सिग्नल दे रहा है. So this is about reflex arc. So such connection is called as reflex arc. And where should such reflex arc connection be made between the input nerve and the output nerve? The best place of course would be the point where they first meet each other. वो जहाँ पर भी एक दूसरे को मिलते हैं उस प्लेस की बात है. Where should such reflex arc connection made? कनेक्शन कहाँ पर होगा? ऑब्वियसली जहाँ पर दोनों मीट करेंगे, जहाँ पर दोनों मिलेंगे. So nerves from all over the body meet in a bundle in the spinal cord on their way to the brain. Here you can see here, this is the our spinal cord and this is the meeting of these nerve cells and finally to the brain. Reflex arcs are formed in this spinal cord itself, although the information input also goes on to the reach to the brain. This is the only one way here. यहाँ से सिग्नल जाएगा एंड वापस यहाँ से आएगा. This is so here the nerves from all over the body meet in a bundle like structure. Bundle meaning वहाँ पर एक सब इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे. They will be grouped in the spinal cord on their way to the brain. Easy point. Now, of course, reflex arcs have evolved in animals because of thinking process of the brain is not fast enough. So here is the role of this reflex arc. हमारे पास एंड दूसरे एनिमल्स के पास reflex arc. What is the role of reflex arc in humans and other animals? Because the thinking process of the brain is not fast enough. हमारे ब्रेन की जो प्रोसेस है थिंकिंग वाली वो थोड़ी सी फास्ट नहीं है, धीरे है, स्लोली. डेट्स वाई दिस रिफ्लेक्स आर्क विल बी देयर एंड ये जो रिफ्लेक्स आर्क है उसकी वजह से ही ये जो प्रोसीजर है वो फास्ट हो जाएगी. इन फैक्ट मैनी एनिमल्स हैव वेरी लिटल और नन ऑफ द कॉम्प्लेक्स न्यूरल नेटवर्क नीडेड फॉर थिंकिंग. सो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि सभी एनिमल्स के पास अच्छा खासा न्यूरन सिस्टम हो, नर्वस सिस्टम हो. So it is quite likely that reflex arc have evolved as the efficient ways of functioning in the absence of the true thought processes. Meaning there is no any true thought processes, no thinking processes, but it quite likely that reflex arc have evolved as efficient ways to the functioning. Okay, ये reflex arc जो मेन रोल है reflex arc का वो ये थिंकिंग प्रोसेस नहीं होता है, उसके अलावा जो रिस्पॉन्ड देना है वो काम कौन करेगा? reflex arcs. However, even after the complex neural networks have come into existence, reflex arc continue to be more efficient for the quick responses. So this is the main role, main function, and why they are important to us and other animals also. So reflex arc, very important question and can be asked in exam. So can you now trace the sequence of events which occur when a bright light focus on your eyes? Think about it and try to answer. Now human brain, our very important topic, human brain. Is reflex action the only function of spinal cord? No, obviously not, since we know that we are thinking beings. So here the spinal cord, okay, no reflex action is the not only function of the spinal cord, because so many function is occurring in this spinal cord, but one most important is our reflex action. Spinal cord is made up of the nerves which supply information to think about, and thinking involves the more complex mechanisms and neural connection. So this all the connection and all this the way is the spinal cord from brain and from all the nerves. These are concentrated in the brain. This all the network is concentrated in the brain, which is the main coordinating center of the body. So here question can be asked, brain is the main coordinating center of the body. As we know, brain is very important to all humans and animals. The brain and the spinal cord constitute the central nervous system. This is another important thing. Central nervous system is a type of nervous system and is a part of nervous system, and this brain and spinal cord will constitute the central nervous system. These are the main things, brain and spinal cord. They receive information from all parts of the body and integrate it. Okay, this is very easy, no explanation here, because all the information of responding of any other information it will receive by the brain and from the all parts of the body. We also think about our actions. Writing, talking, moving a chair, clapping at the end of program are examples of voluntary actions which are based on the deciding what to do next. So think about this action, for example writing, talking, moving a chair and clapping at the end of the program. So these are the action based on the deciding what to do next. हमें अब क्या करना है, हम decide करते हैं कि चलो अभी हमें लिखना है. So we will write, we will talk, we will move a chair, we will clap. So ये सब हम decide करते हैं, सोचते हैं, फिर ये सब हम decide करते हैं कि okay. So these are voluntary actions. So the brain also has to send the messages to the muscle, and this is the second way in which the nervous system communicate with the muscle. So brain के पास ऐसी brain will send the message. ब्रेन क्या करेगा, मसल को मैसेज सेंड करेगा. हम जब भी डिसाइड करेंगे, फॉर एग्जांपल हमें एक चेयर को मूव करना है, तो हमारा ब्रेन है वो मैसेज देगा हाथ को कि भाई हाथ तू चेयर को हिला, तू चेयर को मूव कर. ओके, सो दिस इज बाय द ब्रेन, एंड दिस इज द सेकंड वे इन विच द नर्वस सिस्टम कम्युनिकेट. फर्स्ट वे हमारा कौन सा था, रिफ्लेक्स आर्क वाला, एंड दिस इज आवर सेकंड वे कि कैसे ये सब कम्युनिकेट होता है. द कम्युनिकेशन बिटवीन द सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम and the other parts of the body is facilitated by the peripheral nervous system. This is another important question. Peripheral nervous system. Peripheral meaning जो बाउंड्री में होता है, जो मतलब बाउंड्री मीनिंग पेरीफेरी. पेरीफेरी फॉर एग्जांपल द ग्राउंड, इमेजिन अबाउट द ग्राउंड ऑफ क्रिकेट. सो क्रिकेट ग्राउंड में जैसे कैसे बाउंड्री होती है जो पेरीफेरल में होती है, मीनिंग आउटर सरफेस. सो पेरीफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम मीनिंग हमारी स्किन है जो भी, वहाँ पर ये पेरीफेरल नर्व्स हमको देखने को मिलेंगे. एंड कंसिस्टिंग ऑफ द cranial nerves arising from the brain and spinal nerves, and they are arising from the spinal cord. So here two types of nerves, for example here cranial nerves. Cranial is related to the brain, and spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. So these are about this is all about this nervous system and peripheral nervous system, and this is connected by these other parts of the body, and all about this communication process is will developing. Now the brain thus allows us to think and take action based on the thinking. As you will expect, this is accomplished through a complex design with different parts of the brain responsible for integrating the different inputs and outputs. Meaning this is the function of brains, our different parts of brains. हमारे अलग अलग जो ब्रेन के अंदर पार्ट है उसका अलग अलग फंक्शन होता है. As you will expect, this is accomplished through the complex design. So complex design will be there, and this all the mechanism is very complicated, and the brain has three such major parts or regions, namely the forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So these are the three parts, three important parts and three major parts of, or we can say the three major regions of the brain: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. We can say fore meaning forward direction, meaning आगे, for brain, and mid brain meaning middles, the way is we can say the place in the middle, and hind meaning behind, just like behind. So these are the three main parts. Okay, figure 7.3 is our human brain. You can see the forebrain meaning forward part, this is we can say, and midbrain middle, central part, central we can say here midbrain, and you can see here hindbrain, this is the hindbrain, and spinal cord is connected to this hindbrain like this. You can see these are the parts of brain, and we will discuss about all these things in our next video. Okay, so this is about our brain. So next we will continue this topic, and we also study about how are this tissue is protected. Tissue just like brain and nervous tissue also. So how they are connected we will discuss in later. Okay, so thank you and Jai Swaminarayan.